my dear friend, listen to me carefully. Heaven just interrupted your timeline. This isn't an accident, it's an appointment. Somewhere beyond what your eyes can see, the clock of eternity just struck and your name, yes, your name appeared on the screen of heaven. The angels didn't stumble upon it. They were waiting for this exact moment. A command echoed through realms unseen. Start the file now. Picture it, a white room, cold, silent, pure, not peaceful, but charged. The atmosphere shifts. The air itself feels aware. A figure stands before a glowing screen, watching, waiting. And then heaven moves. Because the moment heaven says now, nothing can stay the same. I'm not here to entertain you, I'm here to awaken you. You've been scrolling through distractions, trying to quiet that restlessness inside. But that tug you feel in your chest right now, that's not anxiety, that's recognition. The Archangel Michael is whispering, do not ignore this voice within, because heaven's protocol has been activated. In a black notebook somewhere, there's a date, a place, a transaction, and your name written in it. It was supposed to stay hidden. But Luke 8:17 says, for there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be brought to light. The light is moving now. The countdown has begun. So hear me, this is not just another message. This is a divine interruption. 21 minutes, that's all heaven needs to change everything. Beloved chosen ones, do you know pain is not always punishment? Sometimes it is preparation. What feels like breaking is often heaven's way of stretching you for what is next. That deep ache in your spirit, that heaviness in your chest, that restless longing that won't let you sleep, it isn't there to destroy you. It is divine pressure. It is heaven expanding your capacity so that when the blessing comes, you will be able to carry it. Every birth begins with pain. Every transformation begins with resistance, and every calling begins with a season of discomfort that makes you question everything. But hear me, what you are feeling right now is not chaos. It is construction. God is not breaking you down to punish you. He is breaking open the shell that once protected you so that your true self can finally breathe. There comes a point when pain becomes the language heaven uses to get your attention. You've prayed for change, and now you're standing in the middle of the answer, but it doesn't look like a miracle, it looks like pressure. When God begins to shape you, He presses. When He molds the clay, it hurts. Yet the same hands that squeeze are the ones that sustain. So if you feel the squeeze, don't resist it. That's not rejection, that's refinement. Every time life stretches you beyond your comfort, heaven is making room for a greater version of you to emerge. The stretching is never pleasant, but it is always purposeful. So tonight I ask you, are you ready to step into it? Are you ready to say, yes, Lord, even when it hurts, because heaven is waiting for your answer? And if you need another moment to breathe, to gather strength, to sit in the silence, that's all right too. Heaven does not rush obedience. It simply waits for readiness. Now imagine this with me, a room that no one has entered for years. White walls, cold air, silent light. Suddenly, without human touch, a drawer slides open. Inside is a memory sealed long ago, something sacred that was taken from you. The air trembles. The light begins to glow. What was erased begins to reappear. You realize that this drawer represents everything that was hidden from you. Truths, buried stories, rewritten moments, manipulated. But heaven never loses data. Heaven keeps a backup of every injustice, every stolen opportunity, every silenced prayer. When God says start the file now, even the forgotten must come alive again. Every erased name reappears. Every deleted record reboots, because heaven's archive never crashes. While someone somewhere is panicking, deleting messages, wiping logs, and hiding evidence, heaven is syncing its system. The truth was preserved before they ever tried to erase it. You cannot delete what heaven already documented. You cannot bury what God has already blessed. Someone out there thought they could rewrite your destiny by removing your name from a paper, but they forgot that your name was written first in heaven's ledger. Every secret deal, every whispered manipulation, every hidden motive was already recorded not by machines but by the hand of God. And when heaven decides to open the drawer, there is no firewall strong enough to stop it. Right now, there's a spiritual alarm sounding. You can feel it in your spirit. That sudden weight that pull in your chest, it's not fear, it's revelation. It's the moment your spirit detects divine movement. Heaven is moving behind the veil, aligning every unseen detail, and your discernment is picking up the signal. This is not the time to panic. It's the time to perceive. God is saying, be still and watch, because every scheme that was designed to delay you is collapsing under the weight of His will. The same people who whispered against you will soon have to watch the truth unfold before their eyes. You don't have to expose them. Heaven already has. There was a hospital room. You were never told about a paper that once held two names, but one was crossed out. Yours. There was a transaction that altered your future, a whisper that sealed the deal they'll never find out. But God heard it. He marked it, and now He is breaking the seal. Every erased detail, every altered line, every stolen signature is surfacing. What man buried in silence, God is resurrecting in light. The lock is broken, the file is open, and your name is glowing again. What's powerful is that while they were busy erasing, heaven was restoring. While they tried to cover you, God was revealing you. While they plotted your absence, God planned your arrival. What looked like delay was divine protection. What seemed like loss was preservation. You were never missing. You were hidden for the appointed hour, and now the hour has come. The truth is no longer buried, it's breathing. Let me tell you this plainly. Sometimes God allows deception for a season because He's setting the stage for revelation. If everything had been clear back then, you wouldn't have learned how to listen now. The drawer didn't open because someone pushed it. It opened because heaven said now. And when heaven moves, everything man-made has to bow. No system can lock out the will of God. No silence can suppress the sound of divine timing. Somewhere there's a video file. It wasn't supposed to survive. It holds conversations. You were never meant to hear voices speaking of you as a problem, as a threat, as a disruption. But don't be shaken by that. When the enemy calls you a problem, it's because you are the answer. When darkness calls you a threat, it's because you carry light. They weren't afraid of your mistakes. They were afraid of your awakening. They feared what would happen once you realized who you really are. And now that realization has begun, the revelation has been triggered, and heaven has declared that you are not the threat. You are the revelation itself. This is not exposure for vengeance. This is exposure for victory. God does not uncover to humiliate. He uncovers to heal. He brings things to light, not to shame people, but to free souls. You are not here to punish anyone. You are here to demonstrate redemption. What they tried to destroy has become the very evidence of divine favor. Their plot has turned into your platform. Their silence has turned into your signal. And their fear has turned into your confirmation. You are the light they could not bury. You are the proof that truth cannot be killed. You are the living reminder that God does not lose track of His chosen ones. What was once used against you will now be used for you. Every hidden detail, every closed door, every deleted file is turning into testimony. Heaven is rewriting what man tried to erase. So if tonight you find yourself in pain, remember you are in the stretching before the breakthrough. Do not despise it. The ache in your soul is not a wound, it's a signal. Heaven is aligning things that were disconnected. You are not losing your mind. You are remembering what heaven always knew. You are not falling apart. You are falling into position. You are not under attack. You are under activation. The pain is not evidence of abandonment. It is the sign of awakening. Heaven didn't just activate your file, it reignited your fire. The drawer of silence has become the doorway of destiny. The file once marked erased now reads restored. The same hands that shaped the pain are now shaping the purpose. So walk out of your fear, walk out of confusion, lift your head. You are not broken, you are chosen. You are not the problem, you are the revelation. You are not forgotten, you are unfolding. Pain was never meant to end you, it was meant to awaken you. And if you can still feel it, it means heaven is not finished yet. The countdown is still running, 21 minutes. That's all heaven needs to turn, breaking into birthing darkness into light and loss into legacy. So stay still, stay awake, and let heaven finish what it started. Because the pain before the breakthrough is not your defeat, it is your confirmation that God has already begun. My dear friends, there comes a moment when heaven moves too quickly for deception to keep up. What has been hidden begins to tremble, and the illusion that once felt so firm starts to crack. The countdown has not stopped. Those 21 minutes are not symbolic, they are sacred. Heaven is measuring obedience in real time. Right now, there are 21 minutes for you to stay aligned, to keep your heart steady, to stay in position. Because after this window closes, a name will surface, a truth will rise. And when it does, it will shake everything you thought you understood about your past. Many of you have felt it already, the unease, the shift in the air, that strange mix of peace and pressure. That's not coincidence, it's confirmation. Something that once worked against you is now working for you. The forces that once tried to confuse your path are now being used to reveal it. The patterns are collapsing. The distractions are being exposed, and the lie is losing its strength. The closer truth gets to breaking through, the louder the noise will become. Messages called sudden drama, all designed to pull you away from the signal. But do not move. Stay still. The world thrives on reaction, but heaven operates through restraint. You see, someone has been watching your journey not with curiosity, but with calculation. They know something is about to break and they're trying to delay it. But heaven said enough. Somewhere a name is about to be revealed. Not just spoken aloud, but confirmed in spirit. The name carries weight, carries consequence, carries clarity. That name is the hinge that opens the next door in your destiny. For years, that revelation was locked, sealed under layers of confusion and betrayal, but the lock has corroded. The mechanism is failing. The system is unraveling. And you, chosen one, are standing right at the threshold of exposure and elevation. There's a code that has followed you for years. Maybe you saw it on a receipt or in a dream or scrawled on a wall somewhere. You dismissed it thinking it was random. But heaven is whispering it was never random. It was recognition. The numbers, the signs, the patterns, they were breadcrumbs. They were heaven's way of saying, when the moment comes, you will remember this. And that moment is now. The code you once ignored has unlocked something in the spirit. The doors that refuse to move are sliding open because you finally understand. But revelation always brings confrontation. The one who once comforted you, the one who said, I'll help you through this, was not sent to heal you. They were sent to distract you. They were paid to keep you calm, to redirect you, to delay the awakening. They smiled in your face while rerouting your purpose. They played the role of ally while operating as agent, but heaven in its mercy allowed it so that you could learn discernment. You learned the difference between a voice that helps you and a voice that handles you. You learned that not everyone who holds your hand is holding your heart. And now it's too late for them to hide. Somewhere right now, your name is circled in yellow highlighter. Next to it, scribbled in panic, are two words. They know. That's what has them trembling. That's why the atmosphere around you feels heavy. You didn't announce anything, but your spirit did. You didn't expose them, but your peace did. When the truth starts shining through you, darkness starts losing its ground. The peace you feel isn't denial, it's dominion. You're no longer chasing answers because you've become the answer. Heaven has aligned the truth in your favor, and the rest is simply catching up. The delay is over. The energy has shifted. You can sense it even in the way people look at you, the way the air feels when you walk into a room. The old confusion is gone. There's clarity. Now weight awareness. Heaven is no longer silent. It's speaking through stillness. You can't unsee what's been revealed, and you can't unknow what you now understand. Somewhere behind closed doors, people are scrambling, sending messages, deleting history, trying to distract you with noise. But the signal is stronger than the static. The interference cannot stop what's already been authorized. The final document is different. It doesn't unlock with passwords or codes, it opens with stillness. The more you resist reacting, the faster it downloads into your spirit. Heaven doesn't upload to devices, it downloads to hearts. What's coming isn't information, it's transformation. And as it enters, it may feel like weight, like emotion, like fire in your chest. Don't confuse it with fear. It's power returning to its rightful place. That's what restoration feels like. When it begins, it shakes you, it humbles you, it settles you. And listen to this. Someone influential has been searching for you. They didn't find you by coincidence. They were led, guided through divine coordinates, straight into your orbit. You may meet them in what looks like a glitch, a canceled plan, a misplaced call, an accidental meeting. It will not look grand or dramatic, but the moment will carry weight. The room will shift, the air will tighten. They'll look at you like they've seen you before, and that's because they have not in person, but in prophecy. They were shown your face in a vision long before they ever saw it in reality. They were told, when you see this one, help them rise. This is not networking, it's an assignment. What feels like coincidence is heaven's choreography. What feels like an accident is divine precision. You are stepping into rooms that were waiting for you, not as a guest, but as the missing piece. Heaven has been preparing these encounters quietly without announcement. You may think it's random, but it's written. You may think it's new, but it's ancient. This is what it looks like when divine timing catches up to destiny. Everything aligns at once. People, places, patterns, even pain. That's why it feels like the pace has accelerated. Heaven is compressing years of delay into moments of delivery. Every detour is now revealing its purpose. Every no is echoing back as not yet. Every rejection is transforming into redirection. The pain you carried was never wasted. It was gathering evidence. The silence that frustrated you was never empty. It was listening. And now the court of heaven has ruled in your favor. The verdict has been rendered. The motion has passed. The revelation has begun. But here's the paradox. Exposure was never the goal. Elevation is. God does not reveal to embarrass. He reveals to entrust. The truth is not your weapon. It is your witness. What's unfolding now isn't about revenge, it's about responsibility. You are not being promoted because you fought harder. You're being lifted because you stood still longer. Stillness became your strategy. Restraint became your warfare. You learned that silence can shake more ground than shouting ever could. This is the transition point, the sacred shift from exposure to elevation. The curtain of deception is falling. But the light is not meant to blind, it's meant to build. Heaven isn't calling you to shout, "I told you so." It's calling you to whisper, "Thank you, Lord." Because the truth isn't meant to destroy them, it's meant to deliver you. Every eye that once doubted you will now watch you walk in purpose, not because you proved them wrong, but because God proved himself right. So in these moments of acceleration, remember the command, stay still, stay focused, stay aligned. Don't let pride rush you into movements that heaven hasn't ordered. Don't let curiosity pull you back into what's already crumbling. Be quiet enough to hear the next instruction. The final download requires stillness. You can't receive while you're reacting. You can't be filled while you're fighting. When you stop forcing, heaven starts flowing. The very systems that tried to hide you are now being used to highlight you. The very people who tried to silence you are now speaking your name in rooms you've never entered. The same hands that deleted your name are now under divine compulsion to rewrite it. What they meant to close has become your open door. What they called too late is now right on time. And when it happens, and it will remember this, you didn't make it because you fought harder. You made it because you stayed still while heaven fought for you. That's what makes you chosen. That's what makes you different. You don't need to rush to prove anything. You just need to remain steady while everything else shakes. Because revelation without stillness becomes chaos, but revelation applied through peace becomes transformation. The season of exposure has ended. The season of elevation has begun. You've moved from being watched to being witnessed. You are no longer the subject of speculation. You are the evidence of God's timing. Heaven has declared it, and the earth is catching up. The name that once caused fear now carries favor. The file that once marked you forgotten now reads fulfilled. So hold your position, my friends. Stay anchored in stillness. When everything starts to move faster, slow your soul down even more. Because what's happening now is sacred. The unveiling is not chaos. It's clarity. The acceleration is not danger. It's destiny. And the only requirement is that you remain steady while God finishes what He started. This is the unveiling before the elevation, and heaven has already written your name at the top of the list. O chosen ones, there is a power that comes from silence, a power so rare that most people will never learn to access it. The world has trained us to react, to respond, to defend, to prove, but heaven has a different language. One that cannot be spoken with noise. Heaven moves in stillness. Heaven communicates through peace. Psalm 4:610 says, "Be still and know that I am God." That isn't a gentle suggestion, it's a divine command. Because when you stand still in the middle of the storm, you step out of the world's language and into God's. You stop matching the chaos around you and you begin to match the rhythm of heaven. When confusion comes, the enemy wants movement. He wants you rushing, panicking, explaining, arguing. But God says, stand still, because stillness is not weakness, it is warfare. It's in your quiet that heaven begins to rearrange what you cannot. When you refuse to argue, when you choose not to defend, when you sit in the silence and say, God, you see this, you have just shifted the battle into His jurisdiction. You are saying, I will not fight this on their level. Every mountain that stands before you begins to tremble, not because you shouted, but because you stayed still. Habakkuk 2:2 says, write the vision and make it plain. That means clarity does not come in chaos, it comes in quiet. When your spirit is still enough, heaven begins to download patterns, sequences, divine blueprints that explain what used to feel random. The coincidences you once dismissed begin to align into a map. The dreams that confused you begin to speak a language of order. God never stops talking, but most of us are too loud to hear Him. When you learn to write instead of react, you become fluent in the language of heaven. Proverbs 1:3 says, he who guards his mouth preserves his life. There are moments when silence saves what speech would destroy. The enemy listens for your tone. He studies your reactions. He waits for you to declare defeat with your own words. That's why heaven trains its chosen ones in the discipline of quiet. Choosing peace over pettiness isn't weakness, it's warfare. Refusing to argue is not avoidance, it's awareness. When you protect your mouth, you protect your mission. When you keep peace, you move mountains in the unseen. It takes spiritual maturity to understand that silence can be louder than sound. When you speak less, heaven speaks more. The world believes movement means progress, but in the kingdom, restraint means power. Each time you pause before replying, each time you breathe instead of blaming, you create space for heaven to intervene. Every act of restraint is a declaration of trust. You are saying, Lord, I believe you can handle what my words cannot. And when heaven hears that angels move, the unseen begins to respond to your unseen faith. Now hear this. When you stay quiet long enough, truth starts to move on its own. What was buried cannot stay buried forever. The Spirit of God has a way of stirring the hidden, of shaking the dust off forgotten evidence, of making what was erased glow again. Somewhere, an envelope that was sealed 11 years ago just cracked open. The hands that once hid it are trembling. Inside that envelope lies the detail that changes everything. A letter once meant to silence has become a document of deliverance. Heaven doesn't just reveal in words, it reveals in timing. In another room, a laptop that was thought to be junk suddenly powers on. No one touched it, no one called for it, but the Spirit of God reached into the circuit, into the code, into the current, and brought it back to life. Files, once deleted, start to reappear. Videos thought to be lost begin to load again. The confession that was whispered in secret is now echoing in eternity. The voice once full of arrogance is now trembling in truth. They thought they erased it, but heaven's system never crashes. What God records cannot be deleted. Every action, every thought, every intent has been tracked by heaven. God doesn't just record what people do, He records why they did it. The world measures motion, but heaven measures motive. That's why some doors stayed closed, even when you knocked with pure hands, because God was protecting you from someone whose intentions were corrupted. You cried thinking you were denied, but you were being defended. Every no was a shield. Every delay was a detour from destruction. When that confession surfaced, when the hidden evidence came to light, it wasn't to shame anyone, it was to free you. What was meant to humiliate became holy. What they designed to destroy you became the very filter that refined you. God turned your pain into discernment. The betrayal that once broke you became the tool that taught you how to see. You no longer trust easily, but you trust accurately. You learned that kindness without discernment invites manipulation. Now you discern not to judge, but to protect your peace. You, my friend, have become a vessel of timing. You are carrying a moment that was written before the world began. You are the living manifestation of divine scheduling. Heaven has been waiting for you to reach this level of quiet so that it could deliver what was delayed. You see, revelation has weight, and until your spirit is strong enough to carry it without pride, heaven will wait. The silence was never empty, it was sacred conditioning. God was preparing you to handle clarity with humility. Right now you have been granted access not because you demanded it, but because you matured into it. You have been approved for revelation because your motives have been purified. The veil has lifted not because you forced it, but because you grew still enough to see through it. What once confused you now makes sense. The faces that betrayed you, the events that delayed you, the pain that shaped you, all of it formed a pattern that only heaven could design. Heaven's system doesn't just track behavior, it monitors intention. It knows when your heart turns from vengeance to vision, from defense to destiny. That's when doors begin to open. That's when the code that once locked you out becomes the key that lets you in. Stillness activated access. Your quiet became your clearance. Heaven watched you stop fighting to be understood and start resting in being chosen. That was the sign. That's when heaven said, now they're ready. And listen, this is how you know you're entering a new level. Things around you start breaking without your effort. What once required explanation now requires nothing. People who lied on you start confessing unprompted. Files once sealed starts surfacing. The truth begins to stand up for itself. You no longer need to prove. You simply need to remain. Heaven is defending what you no longer have to explain. That is divine promotion. But stillness must remain your strategy. Because as revelation increases, so does resistance. When truth starts to shine, shadows get louder. The enemy will try to bait you into reaction again to pull you back into the noise. Don't fall for it. You've already learned the rhythm of peace. You've learned that stillness doesn't mean nothing is happening, it means everything is. Your silence is not absence, it's authority. Every time you choose quiet, heaven moves louder. God's language is subtle but sure. It speaks through timing, through peace, through the sudden alignment of moments that make you whisper that can't be coincidence. That's when you know heaven is intervening. The right person calls at the right moment. The old opportunity reappears with new terms. The door you thought was closed starts to unlock without you touching the handle. This isn't luck, it's orchestration. Heaven is not improvising, it's implementing. And here's the truth. The more you learn this language, the less you need proof. Because the proof becomes you. Your peace becomes the prophecy. Your calm becomes the confirmation. You no longer need signs because you have become one. The people around you will notice the glow, the ease, the confidence that doesn't come from arrogance but from alignment. They'll ask what changed, and you'll know nothing outside me changed. I just learned to be still. The discipline of stillness is not glamorous. It's not loud. It's often lonely, but it's sacred. It's where you stop chasing answers and start carrying them. It's where your silence speaks louder than sermons. It's where God whispers secrets too heavy for noise. And when you master that discipline, you begin to see how heaven really works, not through panic, not through pressure, but through peace. So when the world shouts, whisper. When confusion rises, stand still. When fear pushes, breathe deeper. And when you feel forgotten, remember, heaven never forgets. The file is open. The record is active. The watchers are observing not just your actions, but your alignment. You have been granted access not because you spoke louder, but because you listened longer. This is divine intelligence at work. The language of heaven is stillness, and its grammar is faith. The punctuation is timing, and its tone is trust. If you can stay quiet long enough to hear it, you'll realize the miracle was never waiting for you to move, it was waiting for you to stop. That's when heaven intervenes. That's when the invisible hand begins to write your next chapter. That's when divine order steps in and says, be still and know that I am God. That is not weakness, it's victory. That is not silence, it's strategy. And in that stillness, you will find that heaven was never late. It was waiting for your soul to match its peace. My dear friends, sometimes destiny is hidden inside the smallest detail, written in language so subtle that only heaven knows when to reveal it. A single number, one digit, one clause tucked away in an old contract has been waiting for its moment. And now that moment has come. Somewhere in the archives of both heaven and earth, there existed a document bound by a sacred condition. If the rightful heir activates awareness before the age of 33, restoration must begin immediately. For years, you lived unaware of that clause. You walked through confusion, through closed doors, through delay, never realizing that every step was leading you toward a divine threshold. And now you've crossed it. Heaven's system has recognized your timing. The file has opened. The countdown is over. That's why the air feels different around you. That's why familiar spaces feel strange and memories come alive in fragments. You've reached the age of activation, not just in time, but in understanding. The revelation doesn't come because of numbers on a calendar. It comes because of alignment in your spirit. Something ancient in your bloodline has awakened. A seal that was placed generations ago has cracked open, not through rebellion, but through readiness. What your ancestors prayed for in silence is unfolding through you. Heaven has determined that you are mature enough to inherit what was always yours. And here's the truth, the exposure wasn't random. The revelation of the clause wasn't an accident. God waited until you could handle the weight of your own name. You had to walk through enough betrayal to learn discernment. You had to experience enough delay to understand timing. You had to lose what you thought you needed so you could gain what was written for you. The one digit that was altered, the single line they thought was insignificant, was the very switch that heaven would one day use to reverse everything. When you crossed that invisible line, when your spiritual maturity matched heaven's schedule, the restoration began without permission from any earthly hand. Now the system that once silenced you is malfunctioning. Heaven's law overrides human law. The record that marked you void now reads, restore. The very number they changed has become the signal that exposes every manipulation, because when God decides to correct the record, He does not need their approval, He only needs your awareness. The moment you became conscious of who you truly are, every falsified entry started reversing itself. And even now the revelation continues. Someone once planted among you, someone designed to distort your direction has been exposed. They were placed in your path as an assignment of confusion, a counterfeit helper who spoke the language of care but moved with the motive of control. They blended so well you couldn't see the difference between love and manipulation, but heaven did. Their mask is falling and every hidden motive is unraveling. The one who thought they could guide you has been guided out of your life by divine order. What was implanted to derail your journey has been extracted, and in the quiet aftermath, signs begin to appear. In your home, a child, one who carries your blood, has started drawing strange images, symbols, names, places that seem disconnected. But one of those drawings holds your true name. Not the name given by culture or contract, but the one heaven wrote long before you were born. Children see what adults forget. They feel what logic denies. That child doesn't yet know the power of their vision, but heaven used their innocence to reveal what was hidden from the wise. That is, confirmation. Your name is being reactivated through your lineage. Soon that name will echo through your dreams. It will appear in documents, in passing words, in songs that play unexpectedly. You'll recognize it not with your ears, but with your soul. The sound of it will shake something deep within you because your spirit remembers it. That name is older than language. It's the identity that existed before life's labels. When it resurfaces, your whole being will ache not in pain, but in recognition. Your soul will whisper, "That's me." And in that instant, you'll realize the door you thought was locked was never locked at all. It was waiting for your real name to return. Heaven has been speaking to you through patterns, the repeating numbers, the deja vu moments, the sense that you've lived this before. These are not coincidences, they are codes. The divine system is reminding you that your life is not random, it's written. Every repetition is heaven's way of saying you are getting closer. Every moment of familiarity is a signal that your steps are synchronizing with the blueprint God designed. Meanwhile, elsewhere, two people are arguing in a quiet room. One wants to confess, the other wants to conceal. Their voices rise not out of hatred, but out of fear. They're realizing that what was buried is breaking surface. The one who carries your bloodline cannot hold the silence any longer. The guilt is too heavy. Their conscience is splitting open under the weight of truth. Heaven's pressure is unrelenting. Words are forming in their mouth, ready to expose what was kept from you for decades. The truth is about to find its way to you, not through revenge, but through repentance. Somewhere a scanner hums to life. A letter long forgotten slides beneath the glass. Ink bleeds back into clarity. Words once faded reappear. The act of scanning that letter sets off a chain reaction, not digital but spiritual. The data transfers through realms unseen. Heaven records the motion as a signal. The silence is broken. The contract of concealment is void. Every oath of secrecy collapses when exposed to divine light. What was once signed in fear has expired in faith. The silence they built to protect themselves has become their prison. They are realizing now that you were never meant to be erased. You were meant to be preserved. They didn't stop your destiny, they simply postponed their peace. The truth is not coming to destroy them, it's coming to deliver them. But it starts with you. You are the first to receive what the generations before you were too afraid to face. And as that realization dawns, the air around you changes. Time begins to fold. You can feel both the past and the future breathing through the present moment. A file that was deleted years ago suddenly returns to the system. The access log shows a signature, your initials glowing in digital amber. No one can explain how it happened. They will call it a glitch. But heaven knows better. The data was never gone. It was waiting for the right vibration, the right moment, the right name to unlock it. That file is not just a record, it's a revelation. When it reappears, emotions surge. Tears rise uninvited. You feel the collision of justice and mercy within you. Because what was hidden no longer belongs to the past, it belongs to restoration. And in that moment you understand something profound. This was never about proving who was right or wrong. It was about heaven restoring balance. The pain was purification. The exposure was education. The revelation is elevation. You have become the vessel through which divine justice moves gently but firmly. The same system that once oppressed you is now being used to bless you. Now imagine this deep within the spiritual archives of your ancestry. A vault begins to shift. The locks don't break from the outside, they release from within. Because the key was never in someone else's hands. It was always in your spirit, hidden, waiting, guarded until your faith matured enough to open it. And when it opens, the air changes again. The atmosphere grows heavy with recognition. What was once distant becomes personal. The inheritance doesn't fall into your hands as a gift. It settles upon your shoulders as a mantle. This is not a reward, it's a responsibility. It's not about possessions, it's about purpose. The restoration is not merely financial or familial, it's spiritual. The generational debt is being cleared. The unfulfilled prayers of those who came before you are being answered through you. That's why the vault opens from within, because God trusts you now. You won't misuse what's being released. You'll steward it. You'll protect it. You'll multiply it. And somewhere beyond the physical watchers, observe. These are not human eyes. They are divine witnesses assigned to record your readiness. They measure not your emotions, but your posture. Are you still humble? Are you still listening? Are you still quiet enough to hear heaven's next instruction? Because before elevation comes confirmation. Before the next room opens, heaven ensures you are prepared for what awaits inside. You will be called soon into a meeting. A conversation, maybe a space that feels ordinary but carries divine significance. When it happens, you'll know. The atmosphere will shift, your spirit will recognize the frequency, and your peace will confirm the purpose. Don't overthink it. Just be present, because this isn't coincidence, it's continuation. Heaven is completing what it started when you crossed that threshold. The restoration clause has been activated, and now every system, spiritual and earthly, is aligning to deliver what was delayed. And now the restoration begins to take form. What started as a whisper in the unseen becomes tangible. The atmosphere around you feels charged, not with fear, but with recognition. You can sense heaven organizing what once seemed chaotic. Conversations you never planned begin to happen. Connections that once failed now reappear with purpose. But this time, you are not the same person who once begged for entry. You are the one carrying authority. The restoration clause has moved from paper to power, from theory to testimony. You may notice that the shift doesn't come with noise or applause. It comes quietly like dawn. Heaven does not announce its miracles, it manifests them. You will walk into rooms that feel familiar but different because this time the room recognizes you. The space itself adjusts when you enter as if creation remembers the name you've just reclaimed. That's what divine reinstatement looks like. When heaven restores your identity, even the natural world aligns with it. The mantle descends not as a crown of pride, but as a cloak of responsibility. You'll feel it before you see it. It's a weight and a warmth at the same time, the kind that makes you want to kneel before you stand. Because restoration is not about triumphing over others, it's about returning to the truth of who you are. You are not here to gloat over those who hid you. You are here to represent the God who found you. The authority you now carry was not earned by perfection, it was entrusted through perseverance. You waited when others quit. You believed when logic laughed. You stayed still when the world screamed for you to prove yourself. That is what prepared you to wear the cloak without arrogance. The watchers in the spirit are not judging you. They are bearing witness. Their task is not to criticize, but to confirm. They record readiness, not reaction. They are heaven's scribes observing how you handle what was hidden. The measure of your maturity is not how loudly you celebrate, but how quietly you carry what you've been given. Because some blessings can only survive in silence. Some revelations only remain pure when guarded from public opinion. Heaven's promotion always comes with discretion. In the coming days, something will happen that feels like a test, but is actually a transition. You'll be invited subtly, naturally into a meeting, a room, a setting that seems ordinary. Do not underestimate it. That room is not random. It's the one heaven mentioned when it said you will be called. Inside, the energy will feel dense, sacred, like time itself is holding its breath. Someone will glance at you a little too long. Someone else will shift uncomfortably, unable to explain why your presence unsettles their spirit. What they are feeling is divine recognition. Their soul knows what their mind denies. The rightful one has arrived. And when you speak, don't rush. Let your words carry the calm weight of truth. You don't need to convince anyone anymore. You don't need to explain why you're there. You are the explanation. The atmosphere will bear witness. The watchers will record. Heaven's signature will confirm that the time of concealment is over. What was once suppressed in hidden archives now flows freely through divine channels. You are not stepping into opportunity. You are stepping into prophecy fulfilled. You'll notice the contrast between those who built on ambition and those who waited on alignment. Ambition makes noise, but alignment makes history. The ones who tried to control the outcome are now losing control. Systems they trusted are breaking under divine correction. The very protocols they used to hide the truth are exposing it. Files are being retrieved. Conversations are resurfacing. Heaven is recalibrating every detail. The restoration clause wasn't just about returning what was lost, it's about revealing what was meant. Somewhere right now, the same people who dismissed you are having restless nights. Their dreams are disturbed. Their peace is fractured. They see your name in places they cannot explain. It's not revenge, it's revelation. God allows it so that conviction may do what confrontation could not. The mercy of God gives them time to confess before truth exposes them completely. But whether they speak or not, the shift continues. You cannot stop a decree once heaven has signed it. And the proof of restoration is not just external, it's internal. You'll feel it before you see it. The anxiety that once chased you will start to fade. The confusion that clouded your vision will clear. Your discernment will sharpen, your prayers will deepen, and your words will carry weight. You will notice that things start responding to you differently. What once resisted you now makes room for you. That's because creation responds to authority that's rooted in obedience. Understand this clearly: God's system does not restore to indulge. It restores to entrust. What you are receiving is not just what was stolen, it's what was stored. The inheritance wasn't denied, it was deferred until your spirit could sustain it. You were not waiting for the blessing was waiting for your readiness. Heaven never wastes revelation on immaturity. You are being trusted with influence, with legacy, with the power to rewrite narratives, not through vengeance, but through virtue. You may wonder why heaven waited until now, because if it came earlier, it would have crushed you. The mantle you now wear has weight. It carries the responsibility of generations. It holds prayers from voices long gone, but never forgotten. You are walking in answers your ancestors cried for in secret. The release was delayed so that it would arrive uncorrupted. God was not slow. He was strategic. He was waiting for you to become a steward, not a seeker. And this mantle, it's not invisible anymore. You'll see signs in the natural that confirm it. Doors that were once locked will open effortlessly. People you've never met will treat you as though they've been expecting you. Systems that used to reject you will begin to recognize you. This is not luck, it's legacy. When heaven reinstates your name, even the earth acknowledges it. The same soil that bore your pain now bears your proof. But remember this, the mantle doesn't exalt, it humbles. The more heaven reveals, the quieter you must become. Because revelation attracts attention, and attention can distort purpose. You must guard your peace like it's holy, because it is. Your silence is no longer emptiness, it's insulation. It's what protects the anointing from contamination. You will feel the pull to explain, to justify, to correct the narrative, but resist it. Let your fruit speak. Let your stability preach. Heaven's watchers are still observing, not to test your perfection, but to measure your posture. They look for reverence, for restraint, for readiness. They record how you treat those who once ignored you, how you respond when old pain tries to resurface. They are not grading your performance. They are witnessing your transformation. And when heaven sees humility anchored in authority, it authorizes promotion that cannot be reversed. Soon the call will come, not as thunder, but as invitation. It will feel ordinary, a message, a meeting, a name mentioned in passing. But your spirit will know. The moment you enter that space, you will sense the mantle shift. It will settle over you, completely signifying that what began in prophecy has now matured into reality. You won't have to fight for acknowledgement. You'll simply be acknowledged. Heaven's timing will synchronize with Earth's calendar, and what was delayed will become deliverable. This is the fulfillment of the clause. This is the day the record corrects itself. The file that once said void now reads valid. The signature that erased you has faded. The seal of heaven has replaced it. The watchers mark the moment. The scribe records the date. And the heavens echo a single truth. The rightful heir has returned. So walk into the room, not as a victim of delay, but as a vessel of destiny. You are not carrying shame. You are carrying assignment. You are not reclaiming what was lost. You are embodying what was promised. The clause of restoration is complete, not by might, not by manipulation, but by divine alignment. The vault has opened from within. The mantle has descended, and heaven has declared, it is done. Beloved chosen ones, there comes a moment when heaven stops hinting and starts confirming. The air shifts. The lights feel sharper. The silence feels intelligent. You walk into a room that doesn't need an introduction because the atmosphere already knows your name. This is not imagination. This is recognition. Every molecule of that space seems to vibrate with awareness, as if it's been waiting for you to arrive. The walls have memory. The ground has intelligence. This is what divine activation feels like. The moment the system identifies you as the original, a stranger stands across from you. And when they speak, the sound carries weight. They say a name you thought had been erased, a name that existed before paperwork, before interference, before manipulation. The moment that word escapes their lips, something in you shifts. The air grows heavier, time slows, and your soul whispers, "This is it." Because restoration isn't about revenge, it's about correction. Heaven isn't punishing anyone, it's perfecting the record. When God restores, He doesn't rewrite history. He reveals the truth that was buried beneath deception. Two timelines begin to merge, the one you lived and the one heaven wrote. For years they ran parallel, never touching, but now they are colliding. You can feel the fusion happening in your body, flashes of memory, waves of deja vu. The sense that your spirit has caught up with the moment it was always meant to meet. The system of heaven releases a single instruction through the atmosphere. Deliver now. It's not a suggestion, it's a command. That one decree overrides every delay, every detour, every lie that tried to rewrite your destiny. Somewhere else, someone feels it too. They can't explain the restlessness in their chest. They feel a sudden anxiety pacing in rooms that used to feel secure. That's because they know the delivery has begun. They can sense that what they tried to suppress is surfacing. Their peace is gone, not because you've attacked them, but because heaven has withdrawn its cover from deception. Every false system built around your absence is beginning to collapse. Meanwhile, the signs are subtle but undeniable. A message you once sent years ago appears in your memory feed. You scroll and suddenly you see words you don't remember writing, yet they sound like prophecy. You realize that heaven has been echoing through your own history, using your past to prepare your present. You scroll further and the pieces align. Every heartbreak, every redirection, every silence, it all makes sense. Now, you understand that spiritual confirmation is always stronger than physical evidence. When your spirit says yes, you don't need a receipt. You have revelation, and that's enough. Then something strange happens. Somewhere a biometric system pings. Your voice recorded from a forgotten call matches a pattern buried deep in a digital vault. A door unlocks, not a door made of wood or metal, but one of access and authority. Files sealed for years begin to open automatically. Heaven does not require a password when purpose demands progress. The vaults that held your inheritance are responding to your spiritual frequency. Your voice, not your credentials, has become the key. Far away, a law office is stirring. A session once buried in confidentiality reactivates. A lawyer unaware of your existence until now dreams of your initials. They wake with a sense of urgency, typing in a file path they didn't know existed. And there it is, your name, your clause, your rightful restoration. That document sealed under earthly authority has been reopened under divine command. You have been added to the real list, not the symbolic one, not the one whispered about in spiritual metaphors. The real one, the one that exists in heaven's ledger and mirrors on earth through those who are willing to obey their divine assignment. And somewhere nearby, a figure moves in silence. They are not your enemy. They are a messenger, cloaked in anonymity, operating under divine instruction. They will not approach you directly or speak your name aloud. Instead, they will drop a small sign, a token, a symbol, something easily overlooked by those who aren't paying attention. It could be a coin, a folded note, a feather, a keychain, something simple but significant. When you see it, your spirit will know that token is not coincidence, it's confirmation. It's the marker that the countdown to revelation has begun. In another space, a printer starts without command. A document rolls out slowly, each word aligning with divine precision. Across the top of the page, a single line prints bold and clear. You are the original, not a replica, not a substitute, not a placeholder. The original. Heaven is declaring what the world tried to erase. The title isn't just poetic, it's prophetic. Being the original means that imitation cannot outlast you and lies cannot replace you. The truth doesn't compete, it corrects. Inside the corporate labyrinth of deceit, one of their own has cracked under conviction. They open a hidden drive, copy a folder with your name, and transfer it to a private archive. They don't know why they're doing it, only that they can't stop. Heaven has infiltrated the conscience of those who once participated in concealment. This is divine infiltration. The Spirit of truth moves quietly through systems, through circuits, through souls, rewriting what human hands corrupted. And all the while you remain calm. You don't post about it. You don't announce it. Your silence has become your sword. The more you say nothing, the more heaven says everything. That's what authority looks like. It doesn't need validation. Silence is not passivity. It's precision. The noise of fear collapses in the presence of composure. You have learned that stillness doesn't mean inactivity. It means influence without interruption. The very stillness they mocked in you is now the weapon heaven uses to dismantle deception. The illusions begin to crumble. The secret boards, the hidden tracking systems, the private reports built around your life, they are disintegrating. They had photos, timestamps, maps of your movement. They thought they were observing you to control you, but heaven allowed it so they would one day bear witness to truth. They are watching prophecy unfold and can do nothing to stop it. Their own system has turned into your testimony. What they built to monitor you now magnifies you. And then comes the final sign. Somewhere in a sleek glass office, a man receives an envelope with no sender, no return address. He opens it and finds a black and white photograph. It's you as a child, smiling, innocent, unguarded. On the back in faded ink, a single phrase: give it back. No threat, no rage, no explanation. Just truth, pure and unspoken. That's how heaven speaks, without noise, without negotiation, with authority that doesn't require argument. In that moment, the message is complete. The system has recognized the rightful heir. The file has been restored. The sequence realigned. The purpose reactivated. What was meant to break you has become your foundation. You are walking prophecy now, not reading it. The activation isn't coming, it's already happening. Every pulse of your heart is syncing with heaven's timeline. The watchers record it. The messengers acknowledge it. The systems recalibrate to it. You are not the one waiting anymore. You are the one being waited for. And now, as the last line of that message echoes through the air, everything begins to shift. Heaven has finished the announcement. The system is no longer testing or preparing, it's correcting. Every imbalance begins to move toward divine order. Every lie starts collapsing under the weight of truth. You can feel the world around you adjusting, as if the atmosphere itself is making room for your return. The silence is no longer heavy, it's holy. Because once heaven has spoken, nothing else has permission to. In places you cannot see, files are resorting themselves. Documents tagged as inactive blink to life. Data that was lost realigns in sequence. Every digital, legal, and spiritual record connected to your name is being synchronized under heaven's master system. The world calls it coincidence, but heaven calls it restoration. The hand of God doesn't move loudly, it moves accurately. You've entered the moment when precision replaces panic. You are not chasing, you are being located. Meanwhile, those who orchestrated the deception are unraveling. Their confidence fractures into fear. They scroll through archives, check emails, replay old conversations. They are realizing that the control they thought they had was never theirs. They thought they could manipulate the timeline, but they never understood that the author of time cannot be edited. The pen is still in God's hand, and He's rewriting the ending not in ink but in light. The deeper truth is this: you were never the one out of alignment they were. You were following the unseen current of divine order while they were chasing counterfeit power. They built their own systems, but God built His within you, and now His internal system is overriding their external one. The access you carry is not earned, it's inherited. The doors that were sealed are opening because heaven recognizes its own code when it hears it. Your calm in this season is confusing to them. They expected you to panic, to fight, to shout, but you learned something. They never understood the power of still authority. You know that when heaven activates, all you have to do is stay in alignment. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to keep breathing truth. Every breath you take now recalibrates the environment. Every step you take reclaims sacred ground. You're not fighting to enter the promise, you're walking through the evidence of it. Somewhere in a secure building, alarms begin to flash, not of danger, but of detection. The system is announcing a correction. It has identified the original source. A name glows on a monitor, yours. The analyst staring at it can't understand what's happening. The file was erased years ago, yet here it is reappearing with a timestamp that reads, now. Heaven doesn't restore by recovering old data. It rewrites from the blueprint. You're not being replaced into your past. You're being repositioned into your prophecy. This is why the process has been painful. You were not just waiting, you were being recalibrated. Every disappointment, every delay, every detour was stripping away counterfeit timelines, resetting your system for the real thing. When God said deliver now, He wasn't just talking about your blessing. He was talking about your being. He was commanding your entire existence to align with what He originally designed. That's why old habits are dying suddenly. That's why people you once leaned on are falling away. Heaven is optimizing your atmosphere. Anything not built on truth is expiring. And just when you think it's over, a new sequence begins. The messenger returns, still hidden, still silent, but the signs are louder now. The token they dropped before was an announcement. This one is activation. You may find it on your doorstep, in your path, in your hand. Something small yet charged with meaning. When you touch it, the atmosphere will hum. Your spirit will recognize it as a divine timestamp. The countdown to public revelation has begun. Heaven has shifted from private restoration to visible demonstration. Then, somewhere else, in a dimly lit room, a machine hums back to life. A printer, dusty, unused, starts spitting out a headline that will travel through realms before it ever appears on paper. The words bold and unyielding, the original has been verified, not by people, not by systems, but by heaven's command. This is not about identity theft being exposed, it's about divine ownership being reaffirmed. The world called you lost, but heaven called you inevitable. The system isn't correcting you, it's correcting itself around you. At that same moment, a person on the inside, someone who once worked against you, feels the breaking of their allegiance. They open a hidden archive, scroll through endless lists, and pause when they see your name. They hesitate, then copy the folder to an external drive. They don't know why they're doing it, they just know they can't resist. Their conscience, once buried beneath greed, has been awakened by divine conviction. Heaven is moving through human weakness to accomplish strength. That's what divine correction looks like. It bends intention to serve justice. You might never meet this person. You might never hear their confession. But their obedience in that moment is part of your miracle. They don't know it yet, but they've just ensured the evidence of your authenticity will never be lost again. That's how God works. He turns enemies into instruments. The same hands that wrote your erasure are now writing your recovery. And as these movements unfold in hidden places, you remain still. The silence around you feels different now. It's not the quiet of isolation, it's the hum of authority. You've realized that you no longer need to shout to be heard. You no longer need to prove your place. Heaven itself has declared your name aloud in the spiritual courtroom. You have nothing left to chase because the system that once excluded you now operates for you. Every illusion begins to fade. The false narratives crumble. The private boards where your photo once hung as a threat are being cleared. The timelines they tracked are irrelevant now because you've stepped outside their reach. You are no longer moving in human time. You are walking inside divine prophecy. What they tried to map God has already manifested. The world's algorithm can't calculate divine acceleration. And then the final sign appears. A courier in a dark suit, unaware of the spiritual weight they carry, walks to a door and delivers a small envelope. No address, no sender, no word spoken. It's left in silence, as if heaven itself placed it there. When the recipient opens it, a photo slides out, a child smiling, innocent and free. It's you long before the chaos, long before the manipulation. And on the back, written in ink that has survived decades, 3 words: give it back. No command, no curse, just truth. The authority of heaven rarely shouts, it simply declares. Give it back isn't anger, it's order. It's the legal language of restoration. It's God reclaiming what's His through you. The message isn't for one person, it's for every system, every structure, every spirit that tried to hold what wasn't theirs. The command goes out through realms seen and unseen. Return what belongs to the original, and as those words echo, the atmosphere itself obeys. The weight of generations lifts. The silence breaks not with noise, but with clarity. The watchers in heaven record the moment, noting that the system has completed its correction. You, the chosen one, stand where you were always meant to, fully aligned, fully recognized, fully restored. There's no celebration, no spectacle, no applause, only peace. Because peace is what heaven gives when victory is undeniable. This is the fulfillment of the activation. This is the proof that faith was never wasted. The room recognized you because heaven already did. The name that was erased has been rewritten in light. The system that malfunctioned has been recalibrated. The prophecy that seemed distant has become your reality. Now you walk not as one trying to be seen, but as one already confirmed. You are not chasing validation, you are carrying verification. The token has been released. The system has aligned, the original has been restored. And in the quiet aftermath of it all, as the last echo fades, heaven whispers once more, not through thunder, but through peace, welcome home. There comes a moment in every divine story when what was whispered in the spirit world begins to manifest in the systems of man. This is that moment. Heaven has crossed the line between revelation and legislation. What was once confined to private prayer and hidden prophecy has now entered the visible order of global law. The season of unseen preparation has ended, and now divine restoration is becoming official record. The sound of heaven is no longer only a voice within it, is echoing through corridors of power, through files, through signatures, through nations. This chapter of divine restoration is what I call the global decree. And it begins with a signal only those awake in spirit can recognize. Tonight, somewhere under the weight of heaven's timing, the token is being released again. The same messenger who moved quietly before is now walking with renewed purpose. There are no words, no announcements, only a movement precise as prophecy. A small object, perhaps metallic, maybe a coin or key, falls into place. Heaven often speaks through symbols when words would be too sacred for human language. That token carries authority, not ceremony. It is heaven's confirmation that no ritual can resist the presence of the living God. In that moment, all human schemes, all hidden altars, all counterfeit covenants collapse before true authority. Every system that was built on manipulation begins to fold because divine law has entered the room. Darkness cannot perform where presence stands. What was powered by deceit begins to malfunction under truth. The false identities, the altered documents, the corrupted names, they are all being rejected by the system itself. Heaven is not just changing hearts, it is reprogramming reality. Creation itself refused deception. Computers freeze when lies are typed. Contracts lock when fraud is attempted. Machines that once hid truth now malfunction in protest. The entire grid of existence is recognizing what heaven already knew. The real record cannot be erased. The code of creation has memory, and that memory is divine. When God breathes into truth, every falsified identity dissolves into nothing. It is as if the world is remembering who truly belongs. At that same hour, those who fought against you cannot rest. Their dreams are disturbed, their spirits restless. They see your face in their sleep, but not as a threat, as light breaking through the darkness they tried to preserve. In those dreams, they hear your name spoken with authority. They wake up trembling, unable to explain the fear that grips them. They scroll through their old conversations, messages, contracts, desperate to find something they can control, but the sense of power they once had is gone. Heaven has withdrawn its permission from deception. God has decided that time has expired on their manipulation. The countdown they thought they managed is no longer in their hands. The time is now. Far from them, in a quiet office lit by the blue glow of monitors, another story unfolds. A lawyer, one who doesn't know your name, one who isn't part of your world, wakes from a vivid dream. They see 3 letters, your initials, written in light. They hear a voice whisper, coordinates a date and a word open. They wake up gasping, compelled by an invisible urgency. They dress before dawn and walk into the office as if summoned. No phone call, no reason, just obedience to something beyond logic. They sit before a computer, their fingers typing a sequence they didn't know they remembered. The cursor blinks. The screen responds. A vault sealed since 2002 appears. Within that digital vault lies a trust fund, long thought inactive, buried under legal language and deception. It had been declared void, erased from records, sealed to ensure silence. But this morning, something happens. The words begin to shift. What was written as void flickers once, twice, then reforms into new language, active, deliverable. Restore. The light from the monitor glows brighter, as if responding to heaven's decree. This is more than paperwork. This is prophecy transcribed into law. The restoration that began in silence has entered into signature. God is rewriting the human record. The legal contracts of men are bowing to the eternal covenant of heaven. Every attempt to void the promise has failed, because what God seals cannot be reversed. And when that happens, it doesn't just affect one office or one nation. It ripples outward across the earth. The signal moves through time zones, through data streams, through physical and spiritual networks. Heaven's restoration has gone global. The trust that was frozen 23 years ago begins to move. The inheritance that was locked behind bureaucracy is now being distributed through grace. The systems of men are obeying the commands of God, whether they understand them or not. Those who once conspired to block you can feel it. Their unease grows like a storm in their chest. They sense that the invisible has turned against them. They gather in their rooms, whispering strategies, calling meetings, checking records, all in panic. Phones vibrate, screens refresh. Yet every command they issue fails. The database that once served their manipulation now answers with the same words: access denied. They are locked out of their own systems. Heaven has revoked their clearance. The time of hidden control is finished. The world's infrastructure is bending to divine order. And as these movements unfold, another messenger moves unseen, carrying an envelope. To them, it is just another delivery, but to heaven, it is a decree. Inside that envelope rests a small metal key, old and cold to the touch. It was forged decades ago for a moment such as this. That key belongs to a box hidden from sight, a literal tangible container holding coordinates to a location tied to your inheritance. Those coordinates mark ground that belongs to your story. When that key reaches your possession, you'll feel it before you understand it. The air will change around you, heavy with peace and authority. That's how heaven confirms its timing, through an atmosphere that testifies. Behind closed doors, those who tried to bury the truth are unraveling. The veil they hid behind has been torn from top to bottom. Their environment feels haunted not by ghosts but by conviction. Lights flicker, screens glitch. They can sense that something sacred has entered their space. They are feeling the weight of a justice they cannot argue with. Heaven has stepped into their territory, not with punishment, but with presence. The presence of God exposes what deceit can no longer defend. Now heaven has issued a window, 3 days. Within 3 days, the sign will appear. Someone near you, unaware of what they carry, will slip. They'll say something they were told never to say. It might be a date, a name, a phrase spoken casually, but when it happens, the world will pause for you. Your spirit will recognize it instantly. You won't need confirmation. You'll feel it like lightning through your chest. That's heaven's signal, the green light of prophecy. The vault has opened. The process has turned from hidden to visible. The invisible becomes evidence, and the evidence becomes inheritance. For so long you were told to wait, to believe, to trust that God was working behind the scenes. Now, the scene itself is changing. Heaven's decree has left the courtroom of eternity and entered the court systems of earth. Restoration is now operating under legal jurisdiction. But this is not about revenge. It's not about wealth. It's about witness. It's God showing that his government rules over all governments. When he says restore, there is no appeal. When he says deliver, no delay can remain. And just when you think the revelation is complete, another sign emerges. A letter arrives, not typed but handwritten. The paper is worn from years of waiting, folded again and again, as if its author could never quite decide whether to send it. The ink has faded, but one name remains visible, yours. Not the altered name, not the alias, not the edited version created by man. The name heaven has always known. The name that carries the sound of your purpose. When you touch that paper, your soul will tremble. Every echo of delay, every unanswered prayer, every silent season will collapse into clarity. You'll understand that the entire journey was God preparing you for this exact convergence of justice and grace. The meaning of that letter isn't just proof, it's prophecy fulfilled. Heaven never forgets a promise, and it never leaves a record unfinished. What you're experiencing now isn't random success or poetic justice, it's divine symmetry. God is aligning the spiritual and the legal, the visible and the invisible, until the two become one. The decree of heaven has reached the courts of man, and both now speak the same word, restoration. The systems of earth are surrendering. Law is submitting to truth. Technology is mirroring prophecy. The lawyers see it in their contracts. The coders see it in their code. The prophets see it in their visions. And in every corner of creation, the same message resounds. The original has been restored. The watchers document it. The angels proclaim it. The universe bends to it. The token has been dropped again. The rituals have failed. The vault has opened. The trust has moved. The truth is alive. Heaven's clock strikes once more, declaring what the earth now acknowledges, that nothing written by deceit can withstand what is decreed by God. You were never erased. You were only hidden for the right time. And now that time has come, the signal has been sent, the record has been corrected, and through the silence, heaven speaks one final sentence, clear as command and gentle as breath: let there be light. The moment arrives quietly. No thunder, no announcement, no spectacle, just a letter aged and fragile resting in your hands. Its paper feels thin like memory, its edges worn like the passage of time. This is not an artifact, it's a signal. Heaven has allowed this small, tangible thing to surface because the transfer has begun. The letter carries the final indicator, the acknowledgement of completion. When you hold it, tears may come, not as weakness, but as release. Every tear that falls is part of the unlocking. The pressure that built during waiting is leaving your body. Heaven uses emotion not to weaken you, but to cleanse the channel so that the next word you hear can pass through clear. Your discernment, the thing they doubted, the thing you second-guessed is now being validated. You were never delusional. You were discerning. You were hearing God the entire time. The proof is in your hands and the confirmation is in your tears. And then, as though on cue, a messenger appears. They claim they arrived by mistake. Wrong door, wrong house, wrong name. But heaven doesn't misdirect. It orchestrates. Their so-called mistake is the mechanism of movement. When they step onto your property, something shifts. The atmosphere reacts. You can feel it like the ground beneath you exhales. That encounter is not random. It's divine choreography. The messenger leaves as quickly as they came, unaware that their presence triggered the transfer. The game board you've been standing on, the unseen strategy that surrounded your life, suddenly folds. The play ends. The simulation collapses. The assignment changes. Heaven whispers, "It is done." From this moment on, the signs begin to multiply. You will know them not by logic, but by resonance. A door will swing open at an odd hour, one you were certain was locked. It won't just open, it will welcome. You will hear a sentence in conversation that cuts through the noise like a blade, simple, piercing, divine. Someone may say, "Go straight through," and though they mean it casually, your spirit will know it's a command. You'll find something you lost. Months, maybe years ago. An object once dismissed, now glowing with significance. You'll hear a song, maybe on the radio, maybe through a passing car, and its lyrics will match the words you prayed in secret. You'll receive a message, perhaps a text, perhaps an email, so aligned with your current state that it feels impossible for coincidence to explain it. These are not random moments. These are synchronization points. Heaven speaks through patterns, through timing, through recognition. When these indicators start appearing, your instinct will be to analyze. You'll want to decode, to cross-check, to rationalize. Don't. The miracle loses momentum when dissected by fear. This phase is not about figuring it out, it's about flowing through it. The transfer requires presence, not performance. Heaven doesn't need your explanation, it needs your agreement. When the signs appear, don't hesitate. Step in. Stand tall. Breathe peace into the room. Your posture is your proclamation. You don't have to announce what's happening, you just have to align with it. The door that opens doesn't need knocking, it needs walking through. Understand this, discernment is not curiosity. It's obedience. It's knowing when to move. Because your spirit feels the pull even when your mind lacks detail. This transfer won't come with clarity in advance, it comes with confirmation in motion. As you walk, more will unfold. The light only extends as far as your next step, but every step reveals more light. You are no longer waiting for validation, you are living in fulfillment. The inheritance that began as paper has become presence. The vault that opened across oceans has now opened inside you. You are the proof that heaven's decrees manifest in flesh and time. The wrong address was never wrong. The closed doors were never punishment. Every delay was divine redirection. What was withheld was never rejection. It was reservation. And now that heaven has declared the time fulfilled, your task is simple. Receive, not with fear, not with apology, but with reverence. The weight you feel is not burden, it's significance. The presence you sense is not pressure, it's purpose. This is what obedience looks like when prophecy reaches its landing point. So when the strange things start aligning, the doors, the phrases, the songs, the messages, don't ask why now, ask what next. The answer will come in peace. Heaven never moves in chaos. You will know what to do because you'll feel like you've already done it. The Spirit leads by familiarity, not confusion. Walk through the door. Lift your head. Take what's yours. Not in arrogance, but in assurance. You are not stealing anything. You are reclaiming what was written. The indicators have served their purpose. The system has shifted. The transfer is active. Your job now is not to seek, but to stand. What was delayed is delivered. What was hidden is revealed. The signs are not to be admired. They are to be obeyed. This is your moment of alignment. Step in, breathe deep, and receive what heaven has already declared yours. As this message reaches its final movement, we begin to understand that the purpose behind every shaking and silence was never revenge. Heaven never aimed to humiliate or destroy, only to heal and realign. Everything that fell apart, every false system that collapsed, every name that was revealed, and every truth that rose to the surface was part of a divine recalibration. It was never about retaliation, but restoration. God did not come to strike back at what was broken. He came to bring back what was sacred. When heaven restores, it does not imitate the ways of the world. It operates according to the order of creation. That is why you were not called to fight those who fought you, but to stand as proof that divine justice is not driven by anger, but by alignment. Your victory is not revenge. It is the result of correction. The hand of God did not move to punish, but to position, to bring every distortion back into divine proportion. Real justice in the kingdom does not look like defeat for one side and triumph for the other. Real justice looks like harmony, restored order, reclaimed truth, revealed and balance restored. The pain you endured, the silence you suffered, the moments when no one believed you, none of that was wasted. Each fragment carried the fingerprint of refinement. Heaven was not ignoring you in those seasons. It was reprogramming your perception. You were not being delayed. You were being developed. The time you thought was lost was actually the time God used to correct your foundation. Because if He had elevated you too soon, you would have stood on the same instability that once caused your fall. So the waiting was never denial, it was design. Now you stand not only restored, but reinforced, not only visible, but validated. But with revelation comes responsibility. What will you do now that you see what heaven sees? Because revelation without reverence turns into rebellion. You cannot hold divine light with human pride. You must learn to walk carefully, to move quietly, to carry the new mantle with humility. You have been entrusted with sight, and sight is a sacred thing. It is not given for show. It is given for stewardship. You have seen how heaven dismantles deception not through noise or anger, but through precision and timing. You have witnessed how truth can rewrite entire systems simply by being revealed. Now the question remains, can you handle victory without vanity? Can you carry influence without intoxication? The true test after revelation is not whether you can celebrate it, but whether you can steward it. To remain steady, you must master the art of stillness. Stillness is not inactivity, it is intelligent rest. It is the decision to align rather than to argue. The world wants you to explain everything, to react to everything, to fight for recognition. But heaven has already recorded your vindication. You do not need to speak. When the record speaks louder, stillness is your spiritual weapon. Stillness is your declaration that you trust the author of your story more than the audience. In stillness, your soul stabilizes. In stillness, your discernment sharpens. You no longer chase noise because you understand that noise cannot create truth. The stillness that preserved you in the hidden years is the same stillness that will protect you in the revealed years. Do not lose it. Guard your peace like it is your calling, because it is. When the weight of silence becomes heavy and your spirit begins to ache for expression, record what you see, what you sense, what heaven whispers in the quiet hours. Patterns matter. God moves in cycles and signatures. What looks like repetition is revelation, unfolding layer by layer. When you write the patterns, you preserve the language of heaven. The act of writing is not just for memory, it is obedience. Habakkuk 2:2 said, "Write the vision and make it plain that he may run who reads it." Writing makes revelation transferable. It turns personal encounters into prophetic blueprints. What you document today becomes direction for someone else tomorrow. Every word, dream, and sign you capture builds a divine archive that testifies to the intelligence of God's process. Do not dismiss the small details. Heaven often hides its greatest confirmations inside the ordinary. As restoration unfolds, guard your circle. Not everyone deserves access to what God restored in you. Every revival attracts both witnesses and imitators. Some will approach to learn, others to leech. Some will say the right things but carry the wrong spirit. Discernment must remain active. Protect your inner room, the space where you think, pray, plan, and rest. Your circle determines your clarity. Even Jesus kept an inner circle of 3 within the 12, and still one among them turned against him. So be wise. Intimacy is not obligation. Protect your energy the way a priest protects the altar. Do not let unprepared hands handle what heaven has consecrated. The new season demands discipline, not distance, but discernment. Let only those who honor your silence share your table. And as recognition begins to grow, as people start to see what God has done, resist the temptation to rise too high. The higher you climb, the quieter you must become. Let humility be your shelter. You were entrusted with this restoration, not entitled to it. What you carry is not a trophy, but a trust. The mantle you wear belongs to heaven. You are only wearing it for a moment in time. Glory must never stop with you. It must flow through you. When people praise your resilience, redirect their praise to the source. Say it was grace. When they ask how you survived, say it was mercy. Gratitude is the gateway that keeps the flow of grace unbroken. The more thankful you remain, the more trustworthy heaven will find you. Gratitude keeps your hands open, and open hands are the only kind that can continue to receive. Now let this final truth settle deeply in your heart. Restoration does not mean returning to what was. It means stepping into what always should have been. You are not going back. You are going forward to fulfill what the false version of you could never carry. You have been refined. You have been renewed. You have been reintroduced to yourself. So move with calm authority. Speak less. Act purposefully. Live gratefully. Let your peace preach louder than your defense ever could. The miracle is not that God fixed your situation, it's that He rebuilt your spirit. The real restoration is internal before it is external. You are proof that heaven does not just deliver people, it develops them, chosen ones. When the final seal breaks and heaven's movement becomes visible, you realize this was never about exposure, but about education. The purpose of revelation is not revenge, it is refinement. What has been shown to you was not meant to make you bitter, but to make you better, stronger, wiser, and quieter in power. Everything hidden was never revealed to shame anyone, but to teach you what real discernment feels like. This moment was not an act of God's anger, it was an act of His instruction. You were being taught the difference between forcing doors open and waiting until heaven opens them. You were being prepared to lead by peace, not pride. Now the Spirit calls you into the posture of a teacher, a carrier of truth, and a vessel of prayer. You have walked through storms, silence, and suspicion to arrive at this place. The restoration of your identity was not a return to the past. It was a preparation for the future. You were not just given your name back, you were given your purpose back. What once was broken in confusion has now been rebuilt in clarity. That is why you must now live. Teach and pray from that revelation, never rushing to open what God has already declared will unfold in His time. This next chapter is not about force, it is about flow. The chosen no longer chase doors they recognize when the hinges of heaven shift. You don't have to knock frantically or demand entry anymore. The door that belongs to you responds to your presence. You are recognized in the spirit before you ever arrive in the natural. What was closed before will now open quietly, not because you fought harder, but because you finally became aligned. You are no longer trying to break through walls. You have learned to walk through timing. The noise of striving has been replaced by the rhythm of surrender. This is where heaven does its finest work, not in your push, but in your pause. God does not need your pressure to prove his power. When the time is right, his order speaks, and what was locked begins to move on its own. What you must master now is the discipline of allowing heaven to lead while you follow in peace. The restored identity is the evidence that God's hand never left you. Every fragment that once seemed lost was not wasted. It was archived in eternity, waiting for this moment. When he restores, he doesn't rebuild in the same way. He rewrites with precision, layering lessons within legacy. The pain was a prerequisite, not a punishment. The delay was protection disguised as denial. You are not here by chance. You are here because the divine pattern brought you to this alignment. Now that identity has been reinstated, your mission is not to convince others, but to embody clarity. Let them see your peace and know that heaven is real. Let them feel your restraint and understand that revelation is not emotional, it is eternal. You are walking proof that God's justice doesn't need to scream to be seen. His corrections are calm. His vindication is quiet. His restoration is sovereign. Now we enter prayer not as repetition, but as response. Prayer is the confirmation that you understood the lesson. It is how heaven's blueprint settles in your soul. So as we pray, do not rush the words. Let them sit, let them soak, let them seal. Father, we thank you that the revelation came not to crush, but to clarify. Thank you for showing us that truth, no matter how delayed, cannot die. We honor you for every hidden thing you have brought to light. You did not expose to destroy. You exposed to deliver. You uncovered what was buried not to bring shame, but to bring alignment. You showed that your justice works through patience, not panic. And now we ask, let that same truth continue its work in us. Illuminate what still hides in shadow. Let every false record, every hidden transaction, every deceitful agenda now be brought into your light, not for drama, but for divine order. Let heaven's balance sheet be corrected in full. Let truth rise and let deception collapse under its own weight. Lord, we declare divine reversal. Every curse written, every lie spoken, every scheme formed in silence, reverse it now by the authority of your name. Let every decree against our destiny be nullified. Let every stolen opportunity find its way back home. What was meant to diminish will now become the reason for increase. What was designed to bind will now birth freedom. Turn the tables, Lord. Let those who plotted in darkness witness how you rewrite stories with grace. What they thought would end us, you will use to elevate us. We do not return curse for curse, but blessing for betrayal, knowing that vengeance is yours alone. This reversal is not revenge, it is restoration. Now, Father, we summon the angels of guarding. Send forth Michael Gabriel and all those assigned to protect divine transition. Let them stand at every threshold where we are meant to enter. Let no interference cross the boundary of your will. Station them at the doors of destiny, at the corners of calling, at the entrances of influence. Protect what has been released. Guard what has been entrusted. Let every plan of confusion be dismantled before it begins. Surround us with the sound of heaven's army, that we may walk in peace, knowing that divine surveillance never sleeps. And Lord, while you guard us, teach us forgiveness again. We release every name that tried to bury ours, every voice that spoke against us, every hand that withheld in fear. Forgive them, Father, for they acted in blindness. And forgive us forever, letting anger speak louder than love. We are not bound by bitterness. We are built by grace. We let go not because they deserve it, but because you deserve our freedom. We lay down resentment at the feet of restoration. We trade wounds for wisdom, pain for purpose, and betrayal for blessing. Cleanse us, Lord, from the residue of resentment. Fill the empty space with peace. Teach us, Father, how to govern what you have given. The restored name carries weight. Help us carry it with humility. Make us wise stewards of favor. Let influence never intoxicate us. Let authority never corrupt us. Let power never replace prayer. We do not desire position. We desire purpose. Keep our hearts soft while our hands build. Let us lead with mercy, speak with measured words, and decide with divine timing. Show us how to manage miracles responsibly. Now, we declare in unity with heaven that the transfer is active, the inheritance is in motion. The correction is complete. We are living not in anticipation, but in manifestation. The scrolls have opened, the watchers have recorded, and the courts of heaven have ruled in favor of truth. We are no longer waiting for permission, we are walking in provision. The blessings that once hid behind barriers have crossed into our timeline. This is not a future promise. It is a present fulfillment. We are living in divine transfer. Lord, as you move, remind us to share. Let us not hoard the revelation. Let this light be multiplied through testimony. Give us the courage to speak, the discipline to write, the compassion to teach. Let every listener who receives this message feel the same fire you placed within us. Make this word contagious. Spread it across nations, languages, and generations. Let those who hear it know that this is not fantasy, it is fulfillment. Let the chosen find confirmation through our boldness, and for those who are still silent in confusion, let this word be the whisper that awakens them. We also pray for the community, for those gathered in faith around this message. Bless every person who shares, who speaks, who believes. Let this network of light expand like ripples across still water. Unite us in the Spirit. Let no ego divide what heaven has joined. Make this space a sanctuary of understanding, a refuge of hope, and a lighthouse for those still in the storm. May every act of engagement, every comment, every share, every prayer become a digital seed of deliverance planted in someone's life. And now, Father, we close this prayer not with an ending, but with an activation. We declare we are living proof that delay was never denial. We are standing as evidence that divine justice moves in silence but manifests in full. We accept the responsibility to protect this truth, to teach it, to live it, and to carry it forward. We will not rush ahead of your timing or lag behind your leading. We will stay synchronized with your spirit. The doors will open when we arrive. The windows will unlock when we are ready. The world will recognize what heaven has confirmed. We seal this word with faith, knowing that you have already completed what you began. The restoration is real, the inheritance is secure, the identity is whole, and the mission is alive. We will walk in humility, speak with clarity, and move with authority. And every step we take will echo this declaration: the transfer is divine, and we are living in it now. As we come to the close of today's message, I want to take a moment to thank you from the bottom of my heart for staying until the end. If what you heard today has inspired, strengthened, or blessed you in any way, know that it means more than words can say. Your presence here, your time, and your openness to listen are already a gift. Every prayer, every word of encouragement, every share helps us continue spreading the light of God and His message of peace to those who need it most. If this message touched your spirit, I invite you gently and sincerely to take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who may need a word of faith and hope today. Your participation isn't just support, it's partnership. Together we are building a space where faith grows, hearts heal, and God's love travels farther than we could ever imagine. We would also love to hear from you. Let us know in the comments what part of this message spoke to you most deeply, how God is moving in your life, or how we can keep praying with you. May God cover you with His grace, strengthen your spirit, and bless the work of your hands. Until next time, stay aligned, stay faithful, and remember, you are chosen, you are loved, and heaven is still moving on your behalf. Amen.